In 1967, Grantray Lawrence Animation produced the first ever animated production of everyone's favorite wall-crawling web-slinger, The Amazing Spider-Man. It was the story of a high school student named Peter Parker, or an average guy as they say, who, as fate would have it, gets bitten by a radioactive spider and becomes the Amazing Spider-Man. With the help of two consultants, writer Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko, Spider-Man came to life, with all the elements that made him one of the world's most popular comic book heroes. Of course, it's all about Peter Parker, a nice old-fashioned guy who takes care of his aunt after the death of his uncle. He also has a relationship with a sweet girl named Betty Brant. But unfortunately, he also works under the staunch dictatorship of newspaper editor J. Jonah Jameson, who is actually a lot worse than most of Spider-Man's villains.
I should have asked Doc Ock to lend me a hand.
Speaking of Doc Ock, aka Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man battled all the classic villains in 1967. There was Electro. There was also the Vulture. Also an appearance by Mysterio. And then Rhino came along. And then Sandman emerged. And the Scorpion crawled in. And of course, the Green Goblin. And there was no telling what that Green Ghoul would do.
I've got to find out what he's up to.
Of course, a cartoon is only as good as the actors who voice the characters. So, Grantray Lawrence enlisted the help of Paul Soles as Peter Parker in The Amazing Spider-Man, Peg Dixon as Betty Brant and various other female characters, and last but not least, Paul Kligman as J. Jonah Jameson and a motley assortment of villains, which I'm sure Spider-Man was probably not very happy about. And last but not least, Spider-Man cannot swing without the help of groovy music, and those grooves were created by the musical talents of There have been many animated incarnations of Spider-Man since 1967. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in the 1980s, Spider-Man the Animated Series in the 1990s, and The Spectacular Spider-Man in the 2000s. But for fans of the show, it all started in 1967 with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And rest assured, it was a pretty amazing experience.